Hello, world, and welcome to Grounded and Guided. I'm your host, Lynette, and I'm so glad that you could join me here in this moment. I recently returned from a family vacation, and the last couple of days really reminded me about my personal energetic practice. And so, in this episode, I want to share with you what is a personal energetic practice, why consistency is key, and the importance of evolving your practice. So, as I mentioned, I've recently returned from a family vacation and I loved every minute of it. It was so satisfying. One thing that I recognize though is that I was on vacation. I took a break. So that for me meant taking a break from my personal energetic practices, those things that I do basically daily to maintain that capacity to be a channeler and energetic healer, to be the best version of myself, to be the most aligned, authentic version of myself. I just took a break so that I could really fully be with my family, flow with how my family wanted to flow, fall into the activities, and just immerse myself into the experience with my family. And like I said, I loved every minute of it. It was great. It is those minutes and those hours at the end of the vacation where the reality starts to set in. And I recognize that being in close quarters with family members, with other people on planes and bus rides, and just constantly being around other people can start to really impact my energetic health after a prolonged period of time. So this starts to feel very heavy for me. I feel very tired, overwhelmed, clouded, that I'm kind of like disconnected from myself a little bit. I'm not quite in tune with my needs. I am maybe a little bit more emotional than I normally would be. I might be a little bit more overreactive to my kids than I normally would be. And I kind of get to this state more towards the end of the trip, probably like in that last day where I'm starting to kind of realize how long I have kind of gone without grounding and centering and clearing and creating some moments to just kind of check in with myself. And like I said, I want to be fully immersed in my vacation and my experience with my family. So I give myself a little bit of grace, but I realize where not having my personal energetic practices over a prolonged period of time, what state that can put me in. So it was really important that I spent some time today with myself, creating some connection with myself. And really, that's the essence of a personal practice, is creating time and space to reconnect with you. And I feel that there are three different aspects that make up an energetic personal practice. They can kind of have one of these aspects, a combination, or all three. And those three aspects are: a personal practice allows us to ground, to center, and to. So the grounding part really just brings us into the present moment. And the present moment is so important to allow us to really connect and hear our truth. The next aspect is the center. When we can center, that means that we're bringing our attention and our focus on us. We're bringing it inward. It is an opportunity for us to go, hey, how does my body feel? Is there some aches, some pains, maybe some tightness, some tension? That centering is an opportunity for us to really check in. How am I feeling? Are there emotions within me that are asking to rise? And then there's that next aspect that I call clear. And that clearing is the opportunity for us to allow emotions, feelings to move through us. Because that is really what clears us. If there's maybe something that we're holding deep within our body or that's kind of stuck deep in our subconscious and it's held there or it's kind of stagnant or it's very much just like lodged there, it it makes us just not really be our true juiciness, be our true authentic selves. So the clearing just allows us to move those emotions through, to draw up from deep within us what needs to draw up and come to the surface. And when it comes to the surface, it can flow through us. We can give movement to that energy that wants to move within us. We can allow those emotions to be felt and not just felt and shut off. We can allow them to fully wave through us, flow through us. Allow ourselves to turn it on and let that tap to flow until there isn't anything to maybe flow anymore from that source. So there can be just various different methods and modalities that can help create this personal practice that allows us to ground, center, and clear. So for myself, my base modality that I always come back to is Reiki. Reiki was the first energetic modality that I had exposure to, that I learned, and that I developed a practice and a process around. The more I kind of followed that path, the more I opened myself up to other ways of moving energy, connecting with myself, clearing out the things that were holding me back, unsticking those stuck, stagnant energies, allowing myself to decondition, reprogram. As I moved through my personal healing journey, various different things started to come into my awareness. And that was because I was hungry to keep learning and to keep evolving my own personal healing. And so that's why I encourage you to be open to evolving your practice. Yes, we can learn a modality. It can serve us really well and allow us to open ourselves up to a way of being that we maybe never would have even believed that we were capable of. But there may be points in your journey where the things that once worked aren't maybe necessarily working in a way that you hope or desire, or you're just kind of feeling like you're maybe bumping up against your own box or bumping up against your own ceilings. And that was something that I was experiencing over the course of the last year. And it really came when I chose to step into being a spiritual entrepreneur, really fully stepping into the business of being a channeler and an energetic healer, and all of the goals and the dreams that I started to desire for myself that went along with that. I recognized that there was a time when I was bumping up against my own walls of my own boxes. I was pushing against my own ceilings that I was creating for myself. And I needed to evolve my personal practices, be open to more energetic modalities to allow me to bust those walls and break those ceilings. So I exposed myself to breath work, to EFT tapping, and allowed them to partner with my channeling, my Reiki, my Akashic records, various modalities that I had already woven into my everyday life. And it was allowing myself to evolve my practice and let it be flavored with various different practices that I was able to bust through my own walls and ceilings. So that's why it's really important to allow yourself to be open to other practices. Allow yourself to expand beyond maybe what you are currently using. So you're hearing me sit here talk about personal practices and these words modalities. Let's bring a little light to that. You today, maybe the way you connect with yourself might be something like journaling. Maybe you connect with yourself through just moving your body, running, dance, fitness, aerobics, weight training, yoga. These are all personal practices. And moving my body was the very first personal practice that I am aware of. When I was a teenager and I needed to connect with myself and move energy through me, as I mentioned before, just clear, to be able to just like clear myself and become more connected with myself, I used physical movement. I love to do fitness, aerobics tapes, so many different fitness videos. I like to run. I played sports. And that really helped me to ground, center, and clear when I was a teenager. One of the other modalities that I used when I was a teenager is I journaled. And that really helped me to ground, center, and clear and create that connection with myself, be able to brain dump my thoughts, my emotions onto a page, and just maintain that connection with myself. As I moved through my adult life, I just lost that connection. I lost the focus on the importance of a personal practice. And when I took the focus off of having a personal practice, that's when I lost myself. It was personal practices that brought me back to self connection. And so the things that brought me back and helped me to initially ground, center, clear when I experienced an emotional breakdown was moving my body, journaling. And then I started to move my body and explore the world of yoga and realize that it was so much more to yoga than just moving the body. There were these things called chakras, and it just opened me up to a way to evolve my personal practice. And so I have mentioned yoga, I've mentioned running, I've mentioned journal, Reiki, breath work, EFT tapping. There's somatic practices, there's sound baths, cranial sacral, hypnosis, subconscious imprinting techniques, access bars, the use of ceremony, rituals, following the moon cycles, channeling, psychics, mediums, nature bathing, womb healing, generational healing. And one of my base modalities is the Akashic records. All of these are different personal practices that you can open yourself up to, weave into your world to help you create a more stable you. I recognize that my daily energetic practices is a meditation. I ground and then I center. I'm listening to myself. I'm using Reiki to clear the energy that I need to clear after I've listened to myself in that centering process. Then using energy to just help me release whatever needs to be released from my body, feel whatever needs to be felt through my body. And then there are maybe times when those things aren't really releasing how I want them to. And so I might have to employ some help. I might have to open myself up and bring in a different energetic practice that is going to help me to dislodge some of that energy that's asking to be dislodged and moved through my body. So that might be, I need some breath work. I need to do some EFT tapping. Maybe I need to employ someone else to help me dig at some of my shadows, some of those deep parts of me that want attention, want nurturing. And all that helps me to stabilize. And when I am choosing to do my personal practices on a consistent, I am stabilizing my energy, keeping myself in alignment with who I am at my very core, my truth, my essence. And then that knowing and that connection is so sharp and so focused that I move forward unwavering. But it's the consistency that helps maintain that. It's the consistency of just showing up daily and just doing something that allows me to ground, center, and clear. And I talk a lot about my methods, but there is no right or wrong. There is what works for you, what you connect with, what feels good for you, what serves you. The key is to be consistent. It doesn't need to be for a long period of time. It just needs to be consistent. And that's what I found for myself over the course of many, many years, and doing things like taking a family vacation and then choosing to come back to the work that I do as a channeler and energetic healer, and how long sometimes it takes me to get back into that work. So as I mentioned before, sometimes when you're an empathic, you can really be a sponge and you can just absorb everybody's energy. And those personal practices just help to wring out that sponge. And when I do that consistently, it also helps me to just strengthen my energetic ability to deflect the energies that I might absorb. So that might mean that if my kids are having an off day or my husband is having an off day, if I'm consistently able to do my personal practices, then I can just hold space for them and help them, not allow their feelings to overtake me. And now I am wallowing in the same emotions that they are. Those personal practices allow me to build that energetic strength so that I can deflect it and help, because I'm just very centered and connected with myself and my truth. And I recognize that their emotions are not mine. And so I don't have to take that on. I really hope that you gained some insight and found some of this information useful. Maybe some of this resonates with you. Maybe some of this is just helping you to recognize your need or your desire for personal practice, or realizing that maybe it's time to evolve. If this episode resonated with you, please like, subscribe, follow the podcast. And you can connect with me on social media at Lynette Waltham Energy, and check out my website, LynetteWalthamEnergy.com. Have a great day.